Martin Luther King Jr., the dream that shook the world. He was not born with a crown. He was not handed power. He was a preacher's son, raised in the heat of the South, where segregation wasn't just law, it was the air you breathed. But Martin Luther King Jr. didn't just learn to speak from the pulpit. He learned to see injustice and call it by its name. And when the world said, "Wait your turn," he stepped forward and said, "Now is the time." Martin was born in 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, a black boy in a world built to keep black children silent. He walked past whites-only signs. He saw his father humiliated by store owners, and by age 6, he lost his first white friend because the boy's father forbade it. But even then, Martin asked questions. Why? Why can't I sit there? Why can't I play with him? Why is my skin a problem? His father, Martin Sr., was a preacher, tall, fiery, unbending. His mother, Alberta, taught him grace and music. The church raised him, the Bible grounded him, and pain shaped him. He entered college early at just 15. By the time most boys were finishing high school, Martin was studying theology. And while others preached with thunder, he leaned toward justice with love. It was Gandhi's words that changed him. Hate never ends hate. Only love can do that. Martin saw a way forward, not through guns or riots, but through courage that refused to strike back. He earned a PhD in systematic theology by 26. He didn't just want to believe in God, he wanted to understand how to move people toward righteousness on earth. But the call didn't wait long. 1955, Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat, and Montgomery, Alabama, a town thick with racism, caught fire. They asked Martin to lead the bus boycott. He was young, unknown, and they thought he'd be easy to control. But the first night he spoke, the crowd stood still. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He simply said, "We are not wrong. If we are wrong, the Constitution is wrong. God is wrong." The Montgomery bus boycott lasted over a year. He was arrested. His house was bombed. And yet, he never lifted a fist. He lifted a movement. When the boycott ended in victory, Martin was no longer a local pastor. He was the face of the rising civil rights struggle. From 1957 onward, King marched, city after city, jail after jail. He founded the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, and trained activists not in combat, but in courage. Birmingham, Selma, Albany, Chicago. He faced water hoses, police dogs, and bullets. Every step challenged not just laws, but the soul of the nation. They said, "He's an agitator. He's too radical. He's moving too fast." But Martin didn't flinch. He taught that justice delayed is justice denied. And every arrest deepened his resolve. August 28, 1963. 250,000 people stood before the Lincoln Memorial, and Martin rose to the mic, notes in hand. But he left the page. What followed wasn't a speech. It was a heartbeat, a sermon, a prophecy. I have a dream.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
He dreamed of children judged not by skin but by character. He dreamed of former slaves and former owners sitting together at a table of brotherhood. He dreamed of freedom ringing from every hill. The speech did not pass laws, but it shook the conscience of a nation. That dream echoed across the world. Barrett the dream bore fruit. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act was signed. A year later, the Voting Rights Act. He won the Nobel Peace Prize at just 35, but not everyone celebrated. As his power grew, so did the threats. He spoke against Vietnam, against poverty, against the lies that America told itself. He was followed by the FBI, harassed by phone. His allies dwindled, and still, he walked forward. 1968. Martin traveled to Memphis to support striking sanitation workers, poor black men asking to be seen. He was tired. He knew he was being watched. He told friends he might not make it much longer. Then on April 3rd, he stood before a crowd and said, "I've been to the mountaintop. I may not get there with you, but we as a people will get to the promised land." The next day, he stepped onto the balcony of the Lorraine Motel, and a bullet ended his life. Martin Luther King Jr. was only 39, but his voice was eternal. They buried him in Atlanta, but his dream was never buried. Today, he is a holiday, a statue, a quote. But he was once just a man, afraid, bold, flawed, faithful, a man who asked America to live up to its promises. So ask yourself, did we hear him? Did we listen? Or do we just echo his dream when it's convenient? Because Martin didn't march so we could quote him. He marched so we could change. He didn't lift a sword, he raised a voice. And in doing so, he bent the arc of the moral universe a little closer to justice. Martin Luther King Jr., a preacher, a dreamer, a disruptor, a builder. The man who made America listen to itself.